Alright, so this is going to be about debunking umbrella corporations, Keanu Reeves and Timothy Leary, and every god ever invented. Every 10 years there's a new one, so we can't go through the whole list. Thor, Odin, Zeus, Kebalkatu, which isn't going to talk to you, he informs me, because he likes you to remain stupid because he likes to punch you in the face and with your own hands. So if you do talk to Kebalkatu, though, let me know, because anyway, so there's this theory going around that there's flying invisible reindeer, right? And they exist because you're inventing them. Is that true? Do flying reindeer exist because you're inventing them? Let's find out. Okay. Yeah. Well, looking out the window, I don't see any flying reindeer. Hey, check this out. Woo! Flying reindeer outside the window. Gobbledygook. And by the power of the holy zombie. Flying reindeer. Appear before the camera so everyone can see. Oh, well, there we go. You see how easy that is? It takes about 15 seconds to realize that the Umbrella Corporation is lying to you. Okay, and who is the Umbrella Corporation? Well, it's your parents. It's your friends, the people who are threatening to kill you if you don't hang out with them. It's your lovers, the people who don't let you leave the room because they know that you're going to leave the door and get out of the house and never come back. Yeah, that's your family who make sure you can't leave the city you're in and shit. You gotta be back by 4 a.m. so they can get to work and shit, even though it's your car. So the Holy Umbrella Corporation informs us, or I guess these days people aren't so big on the Holy Umbrella. They like Keanu Reeves. So Keanu Reeves tells us we're inventing the world with our mind. You inventing the world with my mind. Yeah. So, and then, is that a fact? Do you think that's a fact? Okay, Timothy Leary says you take all the acid, and then he says, you'll see the world's a mirror reflection of you. And you guys don't know who Timothy Leary is because they canceled him. But you know who Joe Rogan is. Joe Rogan tell you that, don't he? Be like, take all the acid, man. Man, drink some bleach, man. Man, and then you'll understand the world's a mirror reflection. Man, I know Kung Fu too, like Keanu Reeves, man. And, is that true? How's it true? When you go outside, there's a mirror reflection of you. It's just a mirror reflection of you, right? No? No, the Holy Umbrella tells us, you see, they also tell us that there's unique living individuals who are created by the parents. So they can't be a mirror reflection of you. So mental retardation, it's a gerbil bouncing around. It just don't make no sense. You keep it in a little glass cage and you watch it. And you don't let it out because it'll kill itself. And it'll still kill itself inside the cage. But, hey, it's fun to watch them, claw each other to death. And I mean, it's not, but everyone around me swore up and down it is. So I got I watched it with them. They were like, check this out. This is great. They clawing each other to death. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. Yeah. And then one of the people in the house, their parent, snapped the gerbil's neck, and now they don't got to feed the gerbil every day. It was apparently they didn't think it was cute either. But anyway, so that's the fun of retardation: is you put in a little glass cage and you watch it claw each other to death and shit. And like I said, I don't find that very amusing, but Maybe. Is that all there is? Could be. The Holy Umbrella Corporation. Why did they invent zombies? To eat your flesh and brains. Why do I watch zombie movies? Well, technically, it is kind of. I mean, what else you gonna do? I hit myself with a hammer and then I watch a zombie movie. So, you do it. You try to eat your own brain, and then it don't work. So you watch other people eat brains, and then of course, the zombies is forcing you to. Sometimes they're forcing you to watch that. But anyway, so is it a mirror reflection? Have you noticed that is real people, living beings with souls, sometimes do magically appear out of nowhere? But it can't be a mirror reflection, because as the Holy Umbrella has told us, the Holy Umbrella Corporation has informed us that they is real people and they existing and all this shit. So that can't be it. But the Holy Umbrella Corporation also tells us that they create robots, and so and we also can see that the Holy Umbrella Corporation, every word they say is a lie, and you can easily decipher the truth by saying the exact opposite of what they say. There is flying reindeers. How can you find out the truth? You simply say there is no flying reindeers, and now you know the truth. So, is it a mirror reflection? No, it's not a mirror reflection. Do we have proof of that? Now, you had the Holy Umbrella zombies magically appearing, the robot zombies. They're probably none of that. You got to realize it's always the reverse. So if they're telling you they're robots, if they're telling you they're zombies, if they're telling you they're clones, if they're telling you they're living beings, it would be none of that. So we X that all out. And when they're telling you they're beings of light, we might want to X that out and not assume they're just NPC generated visuals either. So I would like to fall on that, but they actually don't discuss that a lot. They say beings of light, and technically pixels aren't light. It's just, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, fucking is it a mirror reflection? Because you can go outside and people can appear and do things like say, hey, I'm gonna kill you, but we can be friends instead, type shit. Because people magically, and then they got some in common with you. Because that can magically appear. Is it a mirror reflection? Well, let's look at see, this is easy to see. Everything's easy to see when you're a kid. When you're born, and the Holy Umbrella Corporation rapes you and mutilates you and drugs you, everything goes downhill from there. You're being drugged. They're erasing your memory, frying your brain. And that's what it takes you like 6 years to get over that. So then you can start to think again. And I mean, people are probably still drugging you the whole time. It's just whatever they hit you with at birth is pretty bad, apparently, because babies is stupid. And but magically, the drugs wear off after like 6 years or something, and then you know everything. So now you're back to, being sober. And then they come in with the stories. And then the stories is coming. And they already telling you the stories when you're a kid, but you're high. So you're stupid and you can't remember none of it. And they come in with the stories. And now the stories is the world is a mirror reflection of you. But use this little baby who knows everything, but these adults who've been frying themselves with zombie drugs their whole life, and they is kind of stupid. So right there, as a baby, you know everything, right? You know that this ain't true. This ain't no mirror reflection. You's like a giant seraphim raping children and drugging children, and desperate for a friend, so bad you kidnap babies. And you ain't none of that as a baby. You don't need no friend. You don't need no one to around. You ain't desperate for anything. You're desperate to crawl away. That's why you learn to crawl and stuff and walk, because you're trying to get away. And then that's why they put the locks on the door, so you don't get out. And then keep the key in their pocket. And then, so it's a mirror reflection, right? Because you's a baby, you's really smart. You knows how to read and write and count and all that. And, but the mirror is reflecting adults, people around you. I wouldn't call them adults. That's just like a word they've invented, you know. It basically means not a giant Nazi seraphim, you know, who's gonna kill you if you say you're not a child. And that's what I thought my whole life. People was telling me that, and I was like, okay. And I would test it too, you know, because you don't want to ask questions, because pow, it'd be the end of your questioning. Yeah, you got a tongue punch down your throat, and then you can't talk because you got your throat's clogged and your tongue's all reversed and shit. So anyway, then, is there a mirror reflection there? Is that a mirror reflection? Is you a baby running around trying to punch them in their mouth? I mean, actually, they call it the terrible twos. Of course, everything's terrible if it ain't in their favor, right? So I always viewed it as a 2-year-old who is learning. And every time I hear that word, it's like, oh, the terrible twos. Oh, remember the voodoo Africans and the Nazi Germans and the cat-eating Chinese and so every time someone says something like terrible toddler, I think of all those other stories of terrible people they tell me about. Anyway, so yeah, is it a mirror reflection? Hell no, it's not. How can you, like, there'd be no such thing as honor students or getting passed up grades or kindergarten if it was reflecting what's happening in the world to you, you know? There'd be no such thing as this trans ma thing I had, this transsexual looking werebeast Hebrew creature. Because I never looked like that. I got some pictures before I have memories of me looking different, like an alien and stuff. But like the Rothschild and shit. But we don't know for sure. And anyways, we was also high on meth during those years, so I think we can already correlate that they're meth heads, and I mean, they're the ones feeding you meth, so of course we can correlate that to a crackhead. We already do that. But then again, I always inform you, don't blame drugs for who someone is and who their genetics made them as, because it's a holy umbrella, the Holy Umbrella Corporation. There's always, that's the whole point of it. That's the whole point of it, is reformulating the blaming goats for everything they do. Anyway, so is it a mirror reflection? Hell no, it's not. I mean, come on, get real. I'm like a child, and my dad works in a data farm. This is in the 80s. He works in a data center. I mean, you can see humans today are, you know, they're like whining and crying on the internet. Humans, right, my ass. They're whining and crying on the internet about data farms and shit. But they wasn't whining and crying when they reached out their hands to beg for money or beat it out of my father, who worked in those places. I'll tell you that. There's no whining and crying during that little period of begging for the money. So, the rest of the time was evil, bum, worthless. You know, data centers are worthless. People who work there are bums. You know, is that a mirror reflection? I don't think so. I never really. Yeah, I remember specifically waking up in the server farm and being like, "Wow, this is the coolest thing ever." This whole building's a computer. We're inside a giant computer. And then they make some cool art with it, giant posters and stuff. And it's like, this is the coolest art I've ever seen. Way better than the Mona Lisa. It's Snoopy. That's a hard fact to disagree with, ain't it? And yeah, so and then what happens? I go outside. This is me. You know, I literally wake up in a giant computer the size of a building, and then we go outside and there's like grass, and then there's people. There's like cavemen walking around their loincloths and with their clubs and stuff, and they got the wheel. They moving the wheel. Someone gave them a wheel, and they got their torches with their fire, and they're like, "Yeah, we's number one." And I'm like, and I'm thinking the whole time, like, you know, let's go back into the computer. How about that? Like, that was fun. That was fun. And then they're like, no, you know, the zombies. They're like, brains, brains. Let's eat them. The Holy Umbrella Corporation, pals. And yeah, I think there we have it. I think you see what I'm saying. Everything's so simple when you're a child, and then the Holy Umbrella Corporation has to eat your brains. I mean, you literally. How many times do I have to say this? And I mean, I've never even met another person who could speak it to me that way. The people I know who were there in the server farms with me were silent when I would talk to them. So, hey, there wasn't much point to that. They said weird shit like, you know, when my father died, he's like, well, he's not dead yet. Uh, I miss seeing him. We didn't hang out a lot, and I miss that. And he's like sitting there hanging out with me, telling me weird shit like this. And I was like, well, we're hanging out now. Let me guess. You're going to have to go to work for the next 22 hours, and I won't see you because you're working 22 hours a day, and I won't see you for months. But are you running a guilt trip on me? I'm 14 years old, and you abandoned me? And that's all I know. This is the only conversation I remember because he was always at work. And I mean, he didn't leave. I think the Holy Umbrella Corporation kicked the brains out of my life. Yeah, I don't know the story, but I can tell there's like a side, just hostility, like zombies, all in unison with the same one, just 3 words, and it feels hostile, and it doesn't make sense. They're like, oh, it's a bum. Give me the money, though. It's like, how does a bum have money? Yeah, none of this makes sense, what you're saying. Oh, and this flying invisible reindeer, too. Anyway, so, yeah, is it a mirror reflection? You know, it took me 40 years for them to ship in an intelligent female who claimed to be intelligent. And her claim, like, for some reason the zombie, the robot, officially tells me, but, I'm a Mensa member. But, there's no but after Mensa member. There is no but. But, I'm in there because I know the colors. I can match colors. There's no but there. So for 40 years, I wake up, one of my earliest memories, inside a data center, inside a giant computer. And this is my life, you know. This is what I do and am after. And the Holy Umbrella Corporation is after the brains. And then and they don't want you to get to the core of the Umbrella Center. Yeah. Because if you had a brain, you'd know it. You'd figure it out. Anyway, so for 40 years, the people come into my life are like, the Umbrella Corporation. And I always made the assumption that's because the other person is working all day, so you never see them. They're always doing something, so you don't see them. And that kind of lines up because the genius who could match colors took me to one of the people who work in Hollywood studio, and they live in the middle of nowhere, and all they do is sit in their studio working all day and stuff. And, but then you also have people being shipped into my life. Like, that's pretty obvious. They're bringing them in from, they're saying they come from somewhere else. That way I can't investigate their family, and there's no explanation to why they don't have a family, because they isn't real people, most likely, and they're NPC being shipped in. By the whole, they're zombies, probably being created in a lab by the Holy Umbrella Corporation, who has to continually invade my life to tell me they is real beings with souls. They're compensating for something. Oh yeah, it just updated me on the word I'm looking for. They're not compensating, but oh well, it just updated me on that. Anyways, so is it a mirror reflection? It took 40 years to invent a person who is smart enough to match colors. That's not a fact. Okay, I don't even know how you can't match colors, right? Just like I don't know how you can't do math and read them right. I never understood that. It's pretty simple and stuff. Like, I just don't care. A few days you see me. I had a girl ask me once, because when I was 40, I didn't match, or 38, there was a day I didn't care. And they're like, what? They're like, I just thought you liked colors. And I was like, no, I just didn't care today. I have to do laundry. But the Holy Umbrella Corporation needs you to care. Isn't that weird? They create zombies who don't care about nothing. They care about forcing a book on you that tells you they care. They live in, they care, they hope, they truth, they peace. And they gotta force that on you. They don't. You're not allowed to discover it yourself. Yeah. There we go. Zombies. They're eating your brains. They're not, right? Oh man. All this stuff is so easy to see when you're born. And this is all they're doing the whole time. They're like, it's a mirror reflection. We're living beings. We have brains. You're stupid. Yeah. He just wants you around because, well, there's no reason. Because any reason you can think of, we told you, you're not that. So, yeah. The zombie. What do you guys think they really are by definition? So we can tell by the words they use, they're not living beings. They don't have souls. Probable they are not beings of light. Because I've said those words. That we should. They've only said it once. You'll notice you can find the truth if they only say it once and you figure out the true meaning to it. A lot of times, just like, it's holy. It's full of holes. And it's by bullshit. There is some truth. It's usually hidden, though, so it's not beings of light. It's like, oh, pixels. Like, zombies is obviously some sort of over-encompassing term there that implies that they actually, well, they do claim they eat flesh and blood, but they're too much cowards to do that, aren't they? So they don't literally do that, but then again, we see the parable there to how they do want to do that. So the mirror reflection is Keanu Reeves and Timothy Leary and who are these other people? Zeus and Thor and Loki and Krishna and Buddha and whatever hokey dokey you guys are going to roll out next decade to replace the Keanu Reeves' God theory. Yeah. Is it a mirror reflection? Of course it's not. It would be to them, because they're all the same. Now, the people, look, I think I know 3 different people, but I know 15 people. But it's like, it's I've had 2 of the Joes in the same room, and it's like pretty much the same person. Like they were created in an umbrella lab and shit. They even give them the same name. And I was noticing this early on in life. Like, and then they have the sheep. You know, the Holy Umbrella tells us they're sheep, not zombies. They're sheep who eat brains, not zombies. They're sheep who eat flesh and blood. Yet, sheep do not do that. So, zombies. Yeah. And see, there's no mirror reflection because they convinced me not to eat flesh and blood while they were having me eat flesh and blood. You know, because they're like, oh, it's the most evil thing you can do. It's like, well, how come you do everything you say is evil? Is there a benefit to this? They're like, yeah, we'll live forever and stuff if we eat flesh and blood. And there's actually truth to that. That's how you do the stem cell research is you take the cells of another being and you live longer. Yeah. Hey, I was saying I wasn't gonna talk about that because of what could happen when people figure it out, but yeah. Hey, there's actually the Holy Umbrella Corporation knows all about that. They've been doing that for a long time. They hoard it to themselves. That's why they'd be like, oh, you can't. That's why they prevent you from opening bodies for a long time. They don't want you to see the robot parts inside of them and shit. They don't want you to discover all that stuff. Well, and then once they do, they bring the hospital in to have a monopoly on it. And the hospital is what? The Holy Saint Umbrella. There we go. And then, of course, the media is Saint Umbrella, too. So they're going to be working with it. And the government was created at the same time Saint Umbrella was created. The same people, just there's always someone else. So they got to invent someone else to blame for, you know, why when you go protest them, you'll be protesting with them, against them. And they'll be leading the protest against themselves on both sides. Because 6,000 years ago, Umbrella Corporation invented the manual for this. And it was actually 2,000 years ago. 6,000 years ago, they invented the manual to blame someone else. 2,000 years ago, though, they invented the manual to be the other person that they're blaming, and in case other people want to be on that side to, you know, to controlled opposition, as they call it these days. But of course, that's sold to you by that word itself is sold to you by the sellers of the Holy Umbrella Corporation manual, Alex Jones. If you don't like the people he's talking about, he's blaming for everything him and his people are doing. There you go. Join him in the fight against himself and his brothers and his parents and family. Which, there is no fight, is there? 30 people invading the Capitol against his father, Joe Biden. Yeah, that's going to work, ain't it? Yeah. Faking stage, isn't it? I mean, how many actors were involved in that? Musicians telling you they're doing it? John Schaefer of the Holy Umbrella Corporation's music, Iced Earth, which the Holy Umbrella race sent their people into my life when I was 17 to give me an album in there so I knew who they are. Because the point is, it's supposed to be brainwashed by what they say. And you got to join one side or the other. And Iced Earth is a Satanist, and Iced Earth is a Satanist, and Alex Jones is a Christian, and Donald Trump's a Bible salesman, and they all come together. The holy trinity of bullshit to fake invade the Capitol. And then just walk away scot-free. And then he got sold for $5 to distract from it. Yay. But the whole time, John Schaefer is making Earth to indoctrinate you. And he tells you this in his music. But it's someone else doing it. Yeah. It's not him. It's they. He's not making music and selling CDs and publishing records and going bar to bar, playing the Muse tunes and selling the shirts and eating like an effendi and traveling the world, and his family's got nice houses and cars. No, it's someone else. Same with Alex Jones. It's someone else. Same with the Gold Palace, the Holy Zombies. It's someone else. Satan is rich. Not people in gold palaces. Those are poor people. They're poor African slaves. He's a poor African slave. Did you know that? Did you know that? Alex Jones, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, they're selling a book that says they're poor African slaves. That's what the Bible says. Well, I'm glad they pulled themselves up by the bootstraps and bought everything on the planet and have a building on every corner, on every street, in every country, almost. I'm glad they've done that. Now, maybe they can stop the eternal victim story and just shut the fuck up. Maybe. Probably not. So there's no shutting the fuck up for people filled with estrogen. And it's going to be gapping about nonsense, just like they do. But is it going to be a mirror? You see, I shouldn't have to talk at all. This is what they do. They suck in your brain and then they refill your head with bullshit. And just like Alex Jones and John Schaefer, if you want to oppose it, well, then they're already in control of it. And you're a dumbass, too. Really? This is dumbass shit. No one should ever have to talk about this. It's obvious when you're born. It's a zombie. Flying reindeer. There ain't no flying reindeer. Get the fuck away from children. You're a predator. Obviously, you're a predator because there's no reason to make up shit like that around children unless you're trying to bait them in your candy van. Isn't it weird they bring candy with it, too? And you can make this assumption when you're born and they first start talking to you. It's like, this is a tool used to prey upon children because there's no way an adult would discuss things like this or could believe in it. And it turns out to be that you're actually smarter when you're a child because they haven't been drugging you the whole time you're here. So, filling mostly, see, before some alien gave them drugs, they invented language, and that's mind control. And then I noticed the frequency of sound does the same thing. I turn off the sound in some movies, and the movies, there's like nothing to it. Obviously. It might be something else. It might be just computer frequencies inventing the whole thing. And there's no such thing as people or drugs or sound, and it's just frequencies to manipulate you the best they can. But yeah, is it a mirror reflection? No, it's not. I've never even met a person like me who I wanted to talk to. So it can't even do it. And Nowadays, you can, if I tell you what I want, which then they'll send people into my life claiming they are it, and I'll run them through a 5-second test to disprove that lie. They used to do that. You can tell that right now they're putting out a bunch of AI videos of people who do other things and shit, but they never existed in real life. Like when I was back in the 80s, there's these data center I'm growing up in, and there's only this one person I know who works there. This giant server farm, and there's the one person who works there, and pretty much they run the whole joint. At least during the hours I'm there. And everyone else is watching TV all day. I think one said don't watch TV. I think they sit there and stare at the wall all day. They seem like that's what was inside their head was a blank wall. And the TV people can repeat the quotes from the movies, you know, like it's the Matrix, you know, all that shit. Now the book people, that's weird because I've never met a person who read books. One person, and they definitely never quoted the Holy Umbrella book. There was the last person. People who read books are the last people who talk about this book. It's really weird how they can quote it, but they've never read it. A Holy Umbrella Corporation and their robots. Yeah, that seems to be what it is there. But what do you do? I mean, they got these buildings, they can kidnap you when you're born, they can manage to erase your memory and force you in this little body so they can do whatever they want. They can rape and mutilate you the day you're born to force, you know, the whole point to the mutilating my body, so when I look at it, I know I am part of the zombie corporation. Now, obviously, I didn't know that. So it doesn't work, but it does work in the way that they're gay people who like to touch little boys. And we know that's a fact, don't we? Because we've been around them our whole life, and they sure were on board with forcing that on us and stuff, and keeping the people away from us who might not have been, telling us those people are they're evil enemies for all of eternity type shit. And some of that shit sets in and stuff, because you know, they go kill themselves, looting nations, and then you're supposed to feel bad because it's like your family who died looting the nation. But you also feel good because you're in the house they got from looting that nation. You know, so you feel good that they went and got you a house. I mean, they don't say it that way, right? It's reversey language. It's got to be the total opposite. We did this and we got a kickback from it. Mm-hmm. They got lost and they stumbled onto some land, and then they had to defend themselves. They had nowhere else to go. They had to defend themselves, and then they successfully got a kickback from defending themselves. Like Palestine or Australia or Venezuela. That's the same story over and over, apparently. The holy defenders of thyself, full of holes. I mean, like the simple fact, we got Middle Earth here, Middle Earth symbols everywhere. That should tell you something. That's the point of the symbol everywhere. It's because they love to brag and show off. They're like, yeah, I've conquered these people. They love to do that. It's like, I wouldn't see the point. You know, if you're like, yeah, you fall in the ocean and wash up on the shore somewhere, and then you got nowhere else to go. You don't know where you're at, and then the evil people in that land attack you, so you got to kill them and defend yourself. I wouldn't like build like a temple to symbolize like, we just killed this trash. We're so great. You know, it's the opposite. It's the people who do shit like that are the people who are going to kill you so they can piss on your corpse and laugh at you and smack you with your own hand. Smack your corpse with your own hand, and then build a building on top of you and be like, what a dumb bitch, you're dead now. If you gotta defend yourself, you wake up somewhere and you gotta defend yourself from some people. Let's say you wake up in America in a hospital and they mutilate you, and you gotta defend yourself against them. You know what, now I'm actually thinking, yeah, maybe we should. Maybe we should. But I don't, that might be a different story entirely. But I wouldn't be concerned with that. My first thought wouldn't be, hey, let's build a building with my face on it and shit. My first thought would be to get rid of it. And that would be my only concern, really, is to get rid of it. And not even necessarily take it, get rid of it, but to repurpose it. Logically, you would want to if you woke up someday, someone got you kidnapped, I'd want to repurpose their house. I wouldn't want to, if I felt I had to, I'd want to escape. But if I, found a knife and I could stab Jeffrey Dahmer who kidnapped me, like, his house would now be mine. I wouldn't demolish it and work hard to build a new one on top of it. Because that would be a good memory. If it was a bad memory, I could see, if you have to leave the house and then 100 million years later you come back and you can finally get rid of Dahmer, I could see this might not be a good memory, but at the same time that would still be a good memory. So you would keep it. That would be the sign of actual self-defense conquest right there. Because it would be like a memorial. Like, this shit is mine now. You thought it was yours. You thought everything was yours. But now, it's not. And it would be a joyous moment. You walk in the house and you'd be like, hey, they killed the pedophile. They killed Dahmer. Everyone would come and visit and be like, oh, it's a great story and shit. You wouldn't demolish it and build it with your symbols on it. You might add your symbols to it. Anyways, so yeah, is it a mirror reflection? No, obviously I have different qualities, and I have morals, values, and standards, and I don't know how many times I came across that type of shit. I mean, like, morals and standards begin with not talking about dumb shit. That's like, my morals and standards start with having to be intelligent and shit. I think I'm being forced into that. I think the zombies are harvesting our brains through education, to be honest. And, without us, they would have no new words. That's why they rarely do have any new words. Because they aren't coming up with them themselves. Wow, that shit's just on repeat there. I mean, the Holy Umbrella Corporation, that's like a 6,000-year-old story, but now it's Resident Evil and shit. No. In 2010, it was Resident Evil. Now it's The Matrix, yeah. And then before that, it was Ron L. Hubbard, Scientology. And then before that, it was Timothy Leary's LSD, Freeing Your Mind. Maybe in 2030 it'll become Joe Rogan as Jesus Christ. Yeah? You guys think maybe? He's definitely being set up, but he's kind of like the drug dealer, but at the same time, They're pushing the drugs in the Matrix too. They're pushing your acid gel tabs. It doesn't matter if you take red or blue acid. It's the same acid. So the different color of the gel tab doesn't mean anything. It's still acid tabs. Acid capsules. That's a large dose of acid there. Which I get shown what happens when zombies take that shit. So, like, you know, it might be a reason why the Holy Umbrella is pushing drugs all the time, and then it would be. Looks like it. The same effect happens if you read about the Holy Umbrella. Yeah. Zombies have now eaten your brains. Let's just, you see how repetitive the story is? The zombies are eating your brains. They got their book, they got their people, they got their governments, they got their schools, they got their hospitals, they got their minions, they've got the drugs, they've got their anti-them religions that are still trying to eat your brain. Joe Rogan, eat your brain. Take your pills. Matrix, eat your brain. Take your acid tabs. No other drugs look like that except for acid. And it's always acid in the Free Your Brain campaign, ain't it? It's a free your brain. I think what happens when they're using this word free, what they're saying is it's free for them. You know, like freedom. America's the land of the free. But yeah, they came over here and the land was not free, but pretty close, pretty cheap, pennies on the dollar. You had to buy bullets and stuff like that. So you had to buy a ship to get over here. So it was free, you know. It's another zombie parable there. You're freeing your brain. You're giving them your brain for free. You're giving them your brain for free. For free. You're actually, you see, they've worked on this thousands of years. Now you're paying them to give them your brain. Yeah? Just like drugs. LSD, you're paying them to give them your brain. You're paying them to rape your children. You go to the hospital, you give them $10,000 to give them the zombie mark, the pedophile indoctrination ritual. Give them $10,000 to rape your child. It's crazy. You're not just. I guess if that's what you like, then how else are you going to rape a child unless you pay someone $10,000 to do it? So maybe not all people see that as a bad thing. But it looks pretty stupid to me. Pay people to free your brain. Give them your brain for free. Pay people to rape your children. It's like, well, why don't we do it ourselves for free? That we created a system where we can't do that, or are we scared of other people, so we created a system to do that? Which one do you think it is there? I imagine it's the secondary one. It all reeks of fear and stuff. It is like you're a baby, you're born in the mirror reflection. Yeah, is it there's cowards lying and saying a bunch of shit, and terrorist Nazis who are scared of something, so they're making up a whole bunch of lies and wish-washy words. And they're not necessarily lies, but it's reversey language and shit. So you know. So you're not like, hey, look, it's Nazis. They're like, nuh-uh, we already told you we're not Nazis. We're the not Nazis. And they're like, and you're like, ah. If you go around being like, hey, look, it's the Nazis. Look, it's the Iron Cross. They'll be like, nuh-uh, the Nazis hated us. Even though they hung out with us and used our symbols and act exactly like us. It's the not Nazis with the Iron Cross. The not Nazis who, just like the rest of the Satanic Bible, Quran, all that, you wouldn't steal the Nazis, the not Nazi symbol, and be like, we are the real not Nazis. We are the Nazis. You know, yeah, it's called a gang sign for a reason because it's a gang and it's their sign. It's a flag. Those of you who have never had the joy of experiencing gangs and cults and governments, whatever word they want to hide behind next, they have flags and symbols. They also have mutilation brandings where they'll chop your body up, and certain really sick pedophiles mutilate your sex organs. But better gangs might just give you a branding, like MS-13, the good people of MS-13 and cartels might just burn MS-13 into your arm or something. I've never heard of them burning it into their children's vaginas or penises. So that's obviously done for a dual thing. They're trying to make it so you're a worker slave and you don't replicate, and they can move forward and repopulate the earth with themselves, because you are a servant, you are a slave to them. That's the reason they're in your land. That's the reason the Holy Umbrella is in North America, is because they wanted slaves. They wanted to create a slave camp safely away from the other nations. Every time in the past when Rome here would get slaves, they would steal them from Africa and then take them to the north areas of Rome. That way they're as far away as possible from the place. And then if they went and kidnapped some Germans, they would take them down towards Egypt and stuff and have them work there. It's clear to see with all the recent empires what they've done. They set up shop on an island in United Kingdom, and that's because there was no ships and no one could invade them, so they had a safe little place out of the area. And then North America is a huge island that they relocated to. It's easy to see from their migration patterns what their thoughts were. But the history supports it, and it makes sense. It makes sense. It's logical. But you can see from their migration patterns, like I said, they're simple. They're like birds. They're like little gerbils in a cage. They're easy to watch. Even though they try to rewrite their history, it's documented that they're bragging enough that you can see all the links. They gotta keep that gang sign so everyone knows, shh, it's us. And yeah, mirror reflection, not. See, that's just they want you to take acid, and then you're not gonna be smart enough to remember there's such thing as computers and robots, and you're not gonna be able to figure out what these creatures are that magically appear, and then they're going to try to convince you you're inventing them with your mind. Yeah. And it will look like it. It'll look that far away from it. It never really gets to looking like that. Never really gets to looking like that. But it does. It does look something. You're like, oh, shit, man. Like that. Yeah, if I take the blinders off, and it does look like that. I'm being blinded by something. It's called you being blinded by the truth, facts, intuition, and your brain. And that's why you've got to free your brain and let the zombies take it, because the brain is blinding you. Your brain is blinding you. That's correct. See, your brain says there is no flying reindeer. And these are child predators using child predator tactics. And see, so your brain's in the way of the flying reindeer. Now you can't. Now you're not going to go out and buy a bunch of trash that you're going to throw away in a couple months to support Israel, to support the Holy Umbrella, whichever name it hides under. That's why it's called the Umbrella, because it's an umbrella and it's hiding behind it. The Iron Cross represents north, east, south, and west, which is exactly the same thing on old maps. Pretty much. It's the Iron Cross. That's because they're north, they're one book, they're east, they're one book, they're west, they're one book, and they're south, they're one book. And you can easily see that pattern too in that. It's a migration pattern. It's a overflowed. It's they overpopulated themselves, for lack of better terms. So, anyways, yeah, when that stuff magically appears out there, now if you're smart, you can automatically assume we already have robots because they can invent robots. You can see that exist and shit. And they're telling you they actually have clones and shit. You just haven't really seen proof of that. But we've seen proof that there's robots. So, now see, you gotta free your brain. Because that isn't real. What is real is they're living beings with soul. Right? Who appear out of nowhere that you're creating with your mind because it's a mirror reflection. No. See, they're hiding something and they're trying to compensate for something that they don't have. That's, you can tell us, because the constant hot air, it takes a desperate person to have to go around talking to people 24/7. Like me, for instance, the reason why I was talking to people 2016 to 2020 was because I thought Holy Umbrella was a little close to my life. And I was telling them to go away, and they wouldn't go away. So I go protest different edges of the umbrella. And they would come with me to the protest and, say that was useless, and I stopped doing that. But I would record that then so I could get it. That was the main reason for me being baited into that, was to record them as they did exactly what I was told they would do. I just wanted a recording because I've been being told that for like 30 years, what they were doing. I just wanted, no one had it recorded on video or anything. But it's not a mirror reflection. They're claiming they is real living beings. You can't be creating people if they is real. That's not how it works. Living beings are forced in their shells from age 6 up. We can't just leave anytime we want and come anytime we want. And they don't come with stories like that. The robots don't come with stories. They come with stories of how they existed long before you asked for a replica and shit. And they still don't even do that. You can learn from their patterns what they're up to. You can still detail some shit and it still come out under the umbrella. So, yeah, that's a lie. Obviously. Raise your hand if you had problems figuring out the Holy Umbrella is a lie. Because I was never like, oh yeah, this is real. This is real. The whole story is real, and they're going to go back home to Israel one day. No. They're not going to leave their mansions and their cars and their assorted stolen empires behind and go home. They might have rotted out the core of some places and fled from them after they did that. But for the most part, currently, have you go to the West Coast, Google, Microsoft, go up there. They're not going to leave that behind. There's mansions everywhere. The buildings are all futuristic and fancy and clean and neat. And you got the ocean right there. And you got the naval yard to guard it. And you got the Google and the Facebook. And as you go out, there's even better mansions with tons of land and beautiful mountains and shit and stuff like that. I don't think they're about to leave that and go home. You might live in a city that they've rotted out, but take a vacation up there to Google Land, and see, travel those areas and stuff. They're not about to leave that and go home. Why would they even go to these other places unless they're going to do that strip mine thing, And they haven't strip mined America of their gasoline yet. They've been hoarding that while they steal it from every other nation still. So they haven't even begun to strip mine, literally strip mine America of their oil resources. They're holding on to that for the day that years before they run out, right? Years before, if they ever need to run away. Where are they going to run to next? Greenland, Antarctica, Mars? It'd be the last land to strip mine. Anyways. But, anyway, so a little off topic, but not really, because it's like the mirror reflection. I mean, just look at this stupid shit here. I look at these people and I tell you what I see. I see the people raping children and forcing children to listen to stories of flying reindeer. And I can put it together, I'm like, oh, they probably went to rape more children. It's really hard to see. Really hard. Like, oh, why do they want to keep you away from technology? Well, they're probably robots. Wouldn't that be weird if they're going to come out and be like, oh, I think they've tried that, but it really doesn't work, so they don't talk about it. They'll be like, you're dehumanizing people. It's like, no. They're dehumanizing themselves when they appear out of nowhere on command, or not really. It's not like we're asking for anyone to appear. The more telling shit is when I'm traveling and they appear. I wake up and they are in the middle of nowhere and the person's walking by my car. And look, they magically found some meth on the ground. Do I want some meth? There just happened to be a bag of meth laying by my car. Ooh, look at that. Now, hold on. Freeing my brain. They're obsessed with that meth shit, man. It's been since I was a kid. They, force it on you and stuff. I remember being this kid thinking maybe you can do something good with these drugs, and then you're like, you must take the drugs because you're not listening to us. It's like, I don't even think zombies are smart enough to realize how much I was listening to them if I got all A pluses in school. And if I can tell them more about themselves than they will ever know about themselves. It doesn't make it's more buying the bull. Buying the bull. That's what it sounds like there. Man. That's weird, because they're just playing both sides. They start drugging me, and then I'm like, yeah, should I be? Why are we being forced to take drugs all the time? These taste nasty, anyways. It hurt my toe. And then they make a song about it. It tastes like oats. And it's so they think it's funny. They think raping children and destroying people's lives and enslaving them is funny. Obviously, that's what America is. It's people who think killing people are funny. They're funny people. Obviously, they don't kill many people. We don't see much of that. Those could be fairy tales for a large part. We see a lot of other things. I wouldn't really take their word for it. I've only seen a couple people get killed, and that's like very small compared to how many people I've seen. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, I do know. That's the thing, is I was born knowing, and then you're gonna die not really knowing it. And we're gonna die knowing that what's gonna happen is we'll probably be thrown back in the little baby shell, so they can do it all again, rape and drug and kill again, and kick you around again. I noticed they lose that ability as you get bigger, and then their attitudes change, and and they gotta start going with the holy bullshit. Yeah, Keanu Reeves and all that shit. Fucking, yeah. Well, we're trapped here, aren't we? I imagine this has everything to do with it, what we're trapped by. Some sort of brainless zombie. Fucking, so that's what it looks like. I mean, you got that one dude killing Dimebag because he's stealing his music, so we have evidence other people are saying that they're harvesting their activities and stealing them to market them. And to me, that's evidence because I've seen it. So someone else says it's happened, that's evidence other people are seeing it happen too. What do people do? What does Umbrella Corporation do? They steal your brains. They need your brains because they don't have any. They gotta eat your brains to live, or else they can't get their mansions and shit. They can't get Google. Well, this is going to be another wasted video, ain't it? Because this has only been 40 years I've been talking about this, so. And every time you talk about it, they just control it and do it again. You know, the Satanists are eating Jesus like the Christians do, and they're talking about it more than, I don't know, more or the same, one of the two. But, you know, if you don't, you know, they're coming out of the closet, but unlike the other people who are not in the closet, you know, they're not in the closet. People who rape little boys, every little boy at birth, are not in the closet. It's like they're not Nazis. It's like they're not robots, robot zombies. It's also easy to see because they talk about like flying reindeer shit, and you're like, yeah, probably not. You know, for some reason they can't, you know, the zombies, as many brains as they steal, they can't edit this shit. They can't edit their cells to make it sound believable. I guess the creator of zombies, I don't know, wants to point them out for some reason. Maybe to watch you cry and scream about it, and knowing you can do nothing about it and get their jollies off like they do. Like the people around me do when I go to protest them, and they're the ones coming with me to protest them, and then they have their friends steal my sign and shit, and the person who is my friend, far from it, far from me ever labeling anyone that, will be involved in it, obviously, because it's their family member doing it. it's their robot model, whatever they want to call themselves. But obviously, probably not people. All pointless. All been pointless so far. I don't want to point to it either. Don't want to point. I don't care. They're the ones who want you to care. The hope, care, love, and peace is for you. Servantry is for you. Being trash is for them. Being brainless zombies who don't have any emotions, can't care because they aren't even living beings, constantly lying about it. In order to, that way you never notice it. That's the point to it, is to keep talking so you can't say anything. They're people. Everyone knows that, right? Because you go out in the corner and what happens, you go outside, what happens, they come up and they just keep talking. You got shit to do. You got to sleep. You got to hit yourself in the head with a hammer. You got to go to work. You got to go eat. You got to keep talking until they get some money. And they get some brains. And then they get some soldiers to go kill and steal more money and brains for them. This is a program of blah, blah, blah. It's real, it's real. We say it enough, they'll believe it. Shit. Living beings with souls. You're just trash and evil. You're the opposite alive. If you think you're alive and there's a robot talking to you, you're the opposite alive, not the robot. Imagine that. Seeing it's all set up that way because apparently it's a fun game to them or something. To when they rape a kid, mutilate your kid at birth, they're not doing that because they like sex. Come on. They're doing that because they like watching the baby bleed and like knowing that the baby is a bitch. It's their bitch now. So if you met these people, they're not interested in sex. They're interested in potato chips and making people their bitches. It's the only thing I've ever seen the people associated with interested in my life is making people their bitches and becoming fat asses. And good drugs, if you can get them. They tend to make a game with that though, so I don't know. I wouldn't know there's no such thing as good drugs or bad drugs, because the earliest I remember we was on drugs probably at birth. So we wouldn't even know what a drug-free world is like. So I'm sure they drug you when you're born. If you go to the Holy Saint Umbrella's memorial, I'm pretty sure. Why would you buy a whole bunch of drugs and not sell them? You got a building full of drugs, but you're not selling them? Oh, that's weird. You sure you have a brain on that one? Come on, even zombies can figure that one out. You don't buy a building full of drugs and not sell them. You might use them to manipulate markets and shit, like they tell us they did 300 years ago. Again, I think they're mostly bragging, the whole, they were going to tax caffeine. That's a cover-up story, but that's what's in their head, is taxing drugs so they can make more money and getting people addicted to coffee in the first place. I had to send someone in my life for that. That was the genius they sent in my life who worked with Donald Trump, who could match colors. I noticed we weren't addicted to caffeine until that happened. We weren't addicted to food until around that time, too. The Holy Umbrella Corporation. Amazing. Amazing. Everyone's just sitting here bragging about what they are and what they're up to. And then you can't do nothing because they got you trapped in a little baby body, and they're going to erase your brain and put you back in a little baby body so they can do it again and again and again and again. And you can tell the whole story's been reformulated because a lot of it's a lot of literary work to hide all this shit and parables and stuff. You know, the word holy and Bible shit, it's just two of billions of words that all point to something else and shit. So I imagine what's happening here is there's no such thing as a world without technology. All those people are brain dead zombies with fake stories. And then so you're being thrown into that world on repeat, and they're reformatting digging their claws into you repeatedly and laughing at you as they rape and slaughter you. Or they don't want to slaughter you because they can't laugh anymore once you're dead. And you get one last laugh. He who laughs last is the only one who can't laugh anymore. There's no one else to laugh at. Fucking. Of course, you know who would say that isn't real, and the opposite is real. I think those would be the first people there. Oh, wait a minute. They already wrote a book saying that isn't real. Okay. And that makes me who? It makes me Krishna. Oh no. What nation am I in? Who does it make me? What city am I in today? I could be Loki. I could be a evil voodoo priest. What nation am I in? That all depends. That all depends on who I am. Scooby Dooby. Fucking, man, this is so stupid. Well, boy, I bought right into the game, didn't I? Now I'm talking about it and everything. They've been working so hard to get their claws in me over that. Satan's claws. Santa's claws. That's a little parable there for you, ain't it? It is the word Satan. And whether it is or not, it's Santa's claws being dug into the little children that they're raping. Once Santa's got his claws into you, it's all over. Once your brain you've taken all that Keanu Reeves acid, Joe Rogan acid, and you've lost your brain, then now flying reindeer exist, and Santa gets his claws into you, and he can rape and mutilate you, and he's going to use you to have children so he can rape and mutilate them because you got no brain because you done took all that acid. And at least that's the illusion it gives when they bring some of the zombies around, that the zombies go to different places forever when they do that. Kind of works a little bit differently for me. No, I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I'm not sure I can go back and pass all those school grades. Probably can. They've definitely brought zombies around me who that happened to and shit. And it looks like that's the whole purpose of it, you know. So take your drugs so Santa can get his claws into you and make you have children. You know, you got to get a wife and have kids, as Santa's claws said so once you've freed your brain. And then let them rape and mutilate and brand your children. Once Santa's claws are into you, it's over. That's over. Good luck. The only answer is selling them your soul. Selling Santa your soul. Oh, yeah. That's a good idea. Let's do that. Man. That's fucked up. We're trapped in a nation where there's some sort of robot zombie clones and shit. Allowed. No one does anything about them. is allowing it. And probably they're kidnapping us from the hospital. That's what I imagine. How do you end up having a brain and being born to a zombie? They must be kidnapping. I mean, what's the point of this hospital thing? Well, they're drugging you, they're mutilating you, they're branding you with their gang sign, they're charging you to do it. That's the second you're born. After that, you got to pay them to continue to be alive to serve them for diseases they're probably spreading to you anyways. Infections and shit. I definitely have some evidence towards that. Besides the Fauci incident, definitely have been people who came in around the people I was with. But then again, we didn't believe any of those people's stories anyways, because they lied all the time about everything. So you got to be careful about putting things together when the people providing you the information say nothing but lies anyways. So you got to be careful about it. Always remember the reversey thing. There are flying reindeers. No, there are not. We aren't pedophiles. Yes, you are. We are homosexual. We're against homosexuality. You're for it. You are the only people who legalized it for 6,000 years. We're not making up shit. It's the truth. No, it's not. It's a lie. We're bringing hope and peace. Donald Trump is the king of hope and peace, apparently. It's real hard to see. We're mutilating children at birth because we're peaceful people. Two polar opposite words there. Peace and mutilation. One requires the absence of peace, and one requires the absence of mutilation. The total polar opposites here and shit. And they got that under control. You know, they invent a goat, and then they turn it invisible, and then they are the goat. And you know, you're good if you put on white, and you're bad if you wear black. For some reason, only those people wear white. The other people wear black, generally. It's because of costs. You can't wear white unless you're ultra rich and live in a gold palace, because it gets a stain on it the day you wear it, and now it's trash. And black, you can't do that way. Black, you can just do whatever. That's probably what it is. I know that's why I do it. Makes sense. That's why it makes no sense that hundreds of years ago people wore white robes and garments and shit. And first of all, how did they bleach them? And none of that history shit makes sense. All those images of people in perfect white clothing before they knew how to wash clothing. And white clothing gets stained right away, so it would just turn into like a giant mess and shit. They also didn't have dye though, so it would have to be a gray. It would have to be like a gray, like the wool from the sheep is like a creamy grayish color, and if it's dirty, it's definitely going to be blackish and shit. And it's going to get dirty as it's processed and shit. Just like cotton. But that was kind of big after probably the wool thing. So later when bleach might have existed and processing might have existed. Well, there's so many holes in the holy story there of Earth. It's a holy story. And the past looks pretty holy. A very holy story. Man, I should write that. I should make a video on that. All the stuff that there's no way in hell that could have existed and shit. Because there's a lot of shit like that. white clothing is definitely one of them. There's things humans supposedly do that I can't. I'm trying to figure out. There was just one thing yesterday. Um, I can't think of what it was. But I go through life and I try to do stuff using the tools that humans sell me, and it's like that doesn't do that. Why do people even buy that? Like a dishwasher. Outside of an industrial dishwasher, I've never seen a dishwasher that cleaned dishes. And all the dishes have food crusted on them somewhere and shit. And I guess maybe they're not too worried about being clean. I grew up in a house where they hand wash dishes, so I never had seen that. I don't know. But I also grew up around people who would like punch you in the face if you didn't wash a dish right. And they use a dishwasher. um, but it never happened when I had a dishwasher. But there's something else yesterday I was using, and I was like, there's no way in hell these people have ever used it. Hollywood music is one of those things. It's like some of that music, it's like there's no way in hell a living being listened to this music before it was put out. I literally listened to like annoying noise and people screaming over some of that shit. I don't, like the Mona Lisa, it's like, do people have eyes? How did that get famous? That it's either a propaganda piece or something. That looks like a man. I mean, damn. What are you telling me? No one looked good, and I was just like really the best looking person on the planet at the time. It was weird because Americans look different than any other people on Earth. And I think what they're going to roll on, if I would ask that question, is they're all half Native American. Yeah. But they're also giants in Native American. Oh, that's right. They did tell me Native Americans were tall people. They didn't tell me they were giant, wide people. Yeah. But they don't, almost none of them look like people from any of the nations they claim to come from. No one looks European. The people, the Africans here, don't look that. Most of the ones I know tell me they're part Native American and shit. Whenever they like predispose that information. I wonder if sometimes if that's not purposely, like predisposing being from Israel and living beings with souls type shit. Not being not Nazis, I'm not a Nazi. Well, that's good to know. I'm glad you told me about that. Fucking. Yeah, but it's not a mere reflection. I mean, that's just obviously. You don't have to sit around and discuss every new religion every 5 minutes they create in order to understand that there's one true religion, as they all say, then all of them are bullshit. You don't have to discuss all of them, but the rollout with that, I know as they roll out with that, they got the mirror and they put all this one shoe size fits all shit. That's why it's so simple. That's why they only know 7 words in every movie, every song, every blah, 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 every word out of their mouth is one of 7 sentences that they'll be on repeat forever. That's why it's the holy umbrella, because it's one umbrella with a bunch of different names. It's just going to be on repeat. So you've heard it your whole life, and you'll think one of those things fits you. One of those 7 shoes will fit you. Or you'll wear it because it's the close enough one, or you'll have enough people forcing it on you that you'll be forced to wear it. Or you'll just have to go into hiding to get away from it. And One day, you'll have to emerge to get some water or some food, or you'll forget. You get lucky enough, you can stay inside long enough to forget. And then you'll forget not to go outside. And then you'll remember, because there it will be again. So, it's like the internet. Even if you don't, they invented that probably because when you stay inside away from them, they need a way to communicate with you and shit. Just like the radio, same thing. They broadcast that all over from their They Live radio antennas and shit. You know, they made those things so they would kill you if you touch them. And all they're promoting is holy umbrella propaganda. They don't want you to cut them down. They want them to kill you if you try to shut them up. That's exactly what they do, isn't it? That's how they got out of it. That's what Rome's known for. It's what religion is known for. It's killing you if you try to not listen to them. Try to not hear them and shit. Definitely if you try to shut them up. Repeat patterns of the dodo bird. The zombie bird. It's a zombie birds from that one resident. Well, that's a good representation because they do seem kind of bird brain and they migrate and they're definitely zombies. Man, isn't that crazy though? Did you know that? You know, those AM channels. There used to be this thing called radio, right? And there wasn't like YouTube and all that shit. And it was you get in your car, you buy a radio, and you turn on the radio on. And then if you turn it to this AM band, it'd be like, it's all like holy umbrella. Mind control. Zombie propaganda. And if you go cut down those towers, if you go touch those towers, they fry you. Like, I'm sure that's a purposeful design right there. They say it's because it's radiation, right? And Alex Jones tells you this. He's a radio person. He tells you, oh, they're trying to kill you with radiation. Well, he's the one doing it. He's the one building towers that are spreading radiation everywhere. And if you go touch the tower, it fries you. Like, I'm not sure if it completely kills you because I haven't watched people do it, but it melted through meat, so it definitely melts through you. It'll melt your finger if you touch it really fast too. It's not some slow week-long event, but they purposely have built these AM towers that are throwing out so much radiation that they built fences around them. That's why there's fences around them, because they'll kill you if you touch them. And it's thrown out so much radiation, and it's probably actually what they're doing with them, as opposed to spreading their propaganda. I wouldn't doubt the main purpose to what they're doing. I should put this in a different video. I bet you most people don't know that. Put it together. The undead are radiating the planet and building towers that fry you if you touch them, that are radiating the planet, and they're asking where cancer came from. They're asking because no one else is going to be allowed to ask anything other than that. We'd know the answer, wouldn't we? They're irradiating the planet with their AM radio towers and other things as they move on. Their nuclear power. Again, don't feel bad for people with cancer, because most of them are part of it. I notice in my life that people who have cancer are 1,000% holy umbrella. And you kind of deserve it, and it's kind of weird. It looks like a mirror reflection, you know. There's your illusion of a mirror reflection. You want to create towers that are radiating the planet and support the people doing it, and maybe you should die of a radiation poisoning. Weird things like that do happen. But I wouldn't be convinced that the karma and all that mirror reflection is real because it requires beings. If you test it enough, it requires beings who isn't real to participate in it, and then that blows the whole story out of water. That's the basis of the propaganda is real and not zombies. But again, all the more reason why we shouldn't cry about those things. Everyone I knew was part of the Holy Umbrella who had cancer. The one was brought to me, worked for them in Hollywood. Oh yeah, 3 of them worked in Hollywood. So they worked for the Holy Umbrella. And the one was a oh yeah, that's right. All of them. All of them. The one, use a vague term, model, come from a city where it's a bunch of cow folk, and they probably had their first modeling agency in 1980. So in 1940, if they were a model, or 1920, they would have had to probably go to California or New York, Hollywood. And so, yeah. So I don't feel bad when you see the links, man. There's some weird links. And who needs your money, right? It's children. It's for the children. St. Jude, Saint Umbrella needs it. Your money to help their children who, in my experience, these people are begging for cancer. One worked with Donald Trump and it was Hollywood and getting lots of money from that stuff. And the other one came from Hollywood, didn't ask questions about it. The other one came from Hollywood, decided it's a bad place and left. I think both those people threw that in there. They decided they shouldn't be there anymore and left. And the first person remained silent. And I think there's always someone else I'm leaving out when I think of that. But isn't that weird? All 4 people there. The 3 were Hollywoods, and the 4th said model, and the other 3, models as well. So, yeah, might as well lump them in there with their vagueness. But they were part of the Holy Umbrella. And they were part of the Holy Iron Cross, sending people to die in wars and shit. So and they also went to the Holy Iron Cross Temple. So it's yeah, you do kind of see a little illusion of karma, and it's illusionary because the money, in one instance, the money is placed to buy the lawyers, unless they're targeting me to steal the money from me. And that's why they send their race to die, their zombie robot, to act like it's a living being and die to steal the money from my family. But at the same time, that family is part of the Iron Cross. So I really don't give a shit, and I'm not going to view it that way. If you work for the Holy Iron Cross and then the Holy Zombie sends a zombie to steal your money, then I'm concerned with why I'm involved there. Why the Holy Iron Cross why the Holy Zombie gets to come try to have their family rape me and shit while they're holding me in my house. Yeah. They've got a lot of bullshit. But the bullshit ends when you realize it's never a mirror reflection. Okay? I grew up winning awards from the president. I stared out the window, got all A+ in school, advanced 4 years, advanced classes, gifted and talented classes, blah, 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 blah. Probably lots more shit there I'm forgetting. Second in the school marathon, didn't even try, didn't even run. I wasn't a runner at all. Never have I met a person anywhere near that stuff. Never have I. They send, like I said, they're like cancer prostitutes from Hollywood and shit. It's like, there's a entire spectrum here. A person who has nothing and has to sell their body to exist, and then a person who can build rockets and bullets and nuclear reactors and shit. Totally opposite spectrums there. A person who's so lazy that they start to get fat and so addicted to food that they start to get fat, and a person who has built their entire life because they're never addicted to food and they never sit around doing nothing, and they didn't do that so long that they will never get out of shape. It's not a mirror reflection there for me to look in the mirror and see Jabba the Hutt. That's not yet. I'm kind of figuring maybe we should get there, because then we wouldn't. Then we might, because it doesn't look like a mirror reflection. It looks like opposites preying upon people or something. So maybe if I turn into like 600 pounds and I can't move anymore, I'll get some really hot model like Melania or a Playboy star coming into my life, and she'll be feeding me cheeseburgers all day long and stroking my penis and stuff and all them sexy things sexy people do. Yeah, never met a person who listens to any music I do, any at all. I go online and I assume those are just AI generated bots and shit. Fucking, yeah, a couple times. I mean, way later in life. We're talking about a different time in a different world and shit. We're talking about the majority of existence here. We're not gonna, this is their game to be like, but, yeah. So, it's a line from the holy zombie, the holy brain eaters, the rich, holy brain eaters. And that's one of the main things why we actually ever begin discussing this. So it's kind of fucked up that it's like it might be part of the plan to force me to talk about it by doing those things. But then again, who's going to benefit from hearing me whine? People who are raping children are the only ones who benefit from the child screaming and bleeding. The child is not going to learn how great sex is, how great being cut and mutilated is. That's not, of course, eventually I bet you I could get them to argue that. And they might have spoken of that. They might have. They say until you're 6 that it's perfectly fine to rape a child because it's not a living being yet. It has no memories and it will heal. They do say that, so we can probably extort and if they haven't already written it, we can probably get them to say it and shit. Not so much but hopefully we can get them to say the other stuff on TV. I'd love to hear them say these things on TV that they put in journals and Bibles and no, I wouldn't. Thank you very much. That's not what I meant. There's specific things that they're dancing around that they don't already put on AM radioactive waves and 24/7. Isn't that weird, man? They're putting out fucking radiation towers, coming to nations, killing the natives, filling them with slaves, and putting radiation towers everywhere. And so you're the devil if you would cut one of them down too. Don't forget that. You're the Antichrist if you want to cut down an AM antenna. So that was probably a huge part of that propaganda, how that exists. Only your family members who kidnapped you, the zombies who kidnapped you and claimed they're your family, were like, only the devil would not want AM radio towers. That's right. Preaching the good word on that. Fucking crazy, man. Anyways, it's just the same thing over and over. Radiating the planet, plaguing the planet, doing the best. And then what happens from the radiation? It doesn't kill people. I mean, you're so stupid. You go there, these Hollywood whores I know, go there and get irradiated to fix what radiation caused them in the first place and shit. Again, do you deserve cancer for working with them? Hell yes, you do. There's nothing sad about it. There's nothing sad about a person who goes and works with these people and then they die. Is there anything sad? Oh, that's right, there is. When you go fight a war and you die, it's so sad that you got killed instead of killing other people, isn't it? It is, isn't it? And who brought us that? The Holy Iron Cross. Who brings us the bullshit that it's sad? Even Odin's people, like, celebrated it. They didn't cry about it. Now, who cries about it? St. Jude. St. Jude cries about it. And I think it's one of those things that keep you alive. So I'm not sure we should laugh at it, because it's like, well, who's keeping us alive and for what purpose? Yeah. Hoping you get cancer one day so you can pay him to give you more cancer. I don't know how that works, but it seems like a made-up zombie story that no person would ever do, no living being, and it just seems like utter AI regurgitated nonsense to get cancer and then radiate yourself to fix it. Get it cut out and radiate yourself at the same time. And it's like, well, that's what causes cancer, so... no, like, I don't even think you're a living being. This doesn't make sense that you can talk and breathe at the same time. You are a very skilled robot. Being able to... That's 56 complex muscle movements at a time in order to move the toes. I guess most of us aren't paying attention to our toes when we walk, right? But you can. It can be like 120 different movements to walk and breathe at the same time. Very complex. Most robots perform 12. Most robots they allow us to see perform 12 motions at a time. They aren't advanced enough to give the illusion of their chest rising and sinking in, and their eyes blinking on occasion, and facial movements and stuff. Yeah, the holy umbrella of bullshit in their mirror reflection of bullshit. Fucking, no, thank you. And it's what I've always said, but they're like, no. So how's that a mirror reflection too? You're like, no, thank you. And they're like, but you must. And I'm like, no, thank you. And they're like, you're not the devil, are you? And I'm like, no, thank you. And they're like, you are the devil? I'm like, no, thank you. And they're like, are you Keanu Reeves? No, thank you. Are you Albert Einstein? No, thank you. You Satan? No, thank you. How's that a mirror reflection? How's that ever a mirror reflection there? The last thing I do is talk to a person. How does the mirror ever create a person who comes and talks to me? It's weird. I, that's so alien. That's literally alien to me. I've been trying to figure out my whole life how humans talk to each other and why, why, why. I can. Okay, so like, my dad's like talking to me about his business, and I'm like, okay, this makes sense. And then the rest of it, I'm like, why is this happening? This is weird. Like, oh, we're gonna go do this together. Like, that makes sense. And then other people are like, you want to go sniff babies, use baby diapers? Come on, let's go. And I'm like, yeah, why? This seems alien to me. I never understood that part of it there. And it's always been confusing, like how some of them are. That one, I can tell you what it's doing right now. And I was right when I told you that. And I was right every day before I told you that. And it's kind of like why I quit talking to him, because it's kind of like the same 7 sentences on repeat. And I already heard it like 10 million times. And it's like, I don't want to hear that from anyone ever again. You know? Like, anyone talking about cancer or sickness, doctors, I don't want to hear about it at all. I don't want to hear the word hospital or doctor or any of that ever again. It's just like filler stories. It's like this person's life is going this way. It's like, oh, who is this person? Right? What's that name? Oh, I met him. I met him when I was 2. Interesting. I don't remember that. Huh. Oh, yeah, and what happened? And did they get cancer? Oh, they got cancer. What's that? Man, what's that about? Then you hear that like 700 times, and you're like, okay, well, I already know what cancer is, so we don't have to ask this question. And then the conversation is like over. You know, there's no need to be like, what is cancer? Did they get radiation poisoning to fix radiation poisoning too? Yeah. Yeah. And how many times do I follow up that conversation with, do you think that was an intelligent idea? Or do you think that was the exact opposite of what you should do to fix radiation poisoning? So it gets old, you know. I've already asked all those questions 5, 6 times, and then there's 2 options there. You know, I can tell you the entire story, how it's going to go. Most of them look at me like, yeah, I fucked up. I made a bad decision, and now they feel bad. It's like, well, why did you bring up the cancer to whine about? Did you like feeling bad? Do you like whining? Because this is where it's logically going to go to. And then you might get a person who thinks they own you and doesn't like you saying anything, and they're just talking to talk. And you're supposed to sit there and nod your head the whole time, and then they might assault you if you say, do you think that was a good idea? But it's the same conversation every time, you know, it gets old. And that's like a rare conversation, you know, we've had it like 690 times or something. And it's like kind of old, but some of these conversations you have like 3,000 times a year. And it's like, wow, like, yeah, my brain hurts, my throat hurts. I was telling these people that shit too, like literally, I was going to the doctor because my shit hurt, and they wouldn't shut the fuck up. I was telling this one person, like I was losing my voice and I couldn't talk, and I was like, I can't talk, we gotta stop talking, and they were acting like I was making shit up and stuff, and it's like, well, we're never gonna talk again, unless you force your way in line, because, you're not listening to me, and these are going to be the last words I'm able to say for a few seconds here, for a few days, because I've already talked more than I can. I actually kind of miss that stuff. Oh yeah, I said that the other day, and then it came back and stuff. I guess it might have been. No, it wasn't. I was already experiencing that from other shit. It's weird. I said that, and they bring it back and stuff. $1 million. There you go. Intelligent person like myself. There you go. That never happened. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Person who listens to music who doesn't hurt my ears. Yeah. Good luck. Mirror reflection. I listen to shitty music and they listen to good music, right? I should reword everything like that. You know, I'm the lowly servant, so I shouldn't be disrespectful. But, you know, I listen to shitty music, you listen to good music. You're not going to like my music. So I just, the answer is we listen to your music. And I turn my music off. Oh, that's right. I forgot we can do that. I forgot we were supposed to do that. Oh, okay. Right. Amazing, man. The mirror reflection. I think this is the mirror reflection right here. That's the closest thing. And I'm like it really. It is about the closest thing I think to. That's like less retarded than all this other shit. That looks fun and exciting and shit, to be honest. And I don't do that all the time. I do have my little, what do they call that? Tourette's bouts and shit. But you know, hey, I'll be like, ooh. Hey, look, you got the mirror, got it right for once. I remember that happening. That's a mirror reflection, though. Here, I should do that while I play music. I'm going to do that. I'm not posting my music anymore anyway, so you won't hear it. But, oh, yeah, I did. It looks like they might be posting it is their music. And that sounded oddly close. Him wearing a do-rag like I was, too. I'm gonna try that though. Try playing guitar like this and shit. See if we can't make a new genre. Anyways, yeah. So I love this talk and it's so great. I'm glad I could be convinced to do it. There's really nothing else to do here. I'm just. I guess I'm continually putting out the information and. There's nothing else to do, is there? What are you going to do? Something you want to do? What do I want to do? It doesn't matter, does it? I don't care. No one else cares. Why would I care? What am I going to do? Join the care community and shit? Isn't that what Karen does? Is care? Isn't this Karen right here? Isn't that the extreme measures of Karen? You ever met one of those Karens? They don't care. They just care about you and what you do. I'm not going to worry about that. What am I going to do? Invent a time machine? And go back and change the world? Oh, wow. You can't. You already tried to do what you could do. You already tried. Did as much as I could. I would drive all over the place looking for something to do. I would walk all over the city, tons of miles, drive bikes, tons of miles a day. Ain't nothing there. Not until recently, it's like, I'm stupid. All them drugs you gave me erased my memory. It is real now. Oh, yeah. It is real. And my brain isn't, though, because I'm stupid enough to believe that.